Graham Hunter joins us on the line to talk to us. We're going to talk Spurs a little bit later on, Graham, but the other big story from last night was Real Madrid just squeaking it out at home, coming from 2-0 down against Club Brugge. What happens?
Fantastic game, Ger. Such entertainment. I spoke to Philippe Clement, the Bruges manager, afterwards, and I said to him, what was your tactics in order to try and isolate Ramos and Varane against Brighton on loan South African Percy Tau and Manu Bonaventura? And he was like, I asked my team to go out and be brave, to play football. I needed the rest of the team to work really hard in order to get the counter-attacks good. But he said, I don't want them hoofing the ball to our forwards and chasing it. I want good possession. I want them to... And they did something that I yearn to see so many visiting sides play when I go to Bernabeu to watch Real Madrid, or when I go to Camp Nou to see Barcelona. They came with no inferiority complex. Man for man, they were, lacking in transfer market value. Probably in some instances, man for man, they were lacking in quality. But they went out there, Bruges, with a really clear counter-attack game plan. And the instant they beat a challenge anywhere in the pitch, they were looking to put it into the feet of Diatta and Bonaventura and Tau. I don't know if those who are watching off the ball saw Bonaventura's finishes, but the first one was absolutely brilliant. It was a little billiard stun shot where he was controlling it with one foot and accidentally tapped it in with the other foot, and that left Courtois completely floored. It was just an absolute misadventure. And I asked him afterwards, I spoke to Bonaventura in the mix zone, I said, listen, was that a little trick you worked on? Just giving an opportunity. He said, No, I was desperate to score and my feet got too enthusiastic, which is a brilliant way to explain it. The second goal, he nearly falls over when he robs Modric and runs right through. But instead of falling over, he rights himself in time and just dinks Phil Mickelson's the ball over poor old Courtois, who then went in at halftime and threw up and went home, literally.
Right, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, not a good sign. I mean, had he been sick in advance, or was that just a...
I'll leave you to speculate as to whether it was a disappointment of the way he'd been humiliated. His dad had to, allegedly, I'm told, his dad had to come and drive him home at halftime because he was so poorly, dizzy, throwing up. Areola, the Frenchman at the time for Paris Saint-Germain, came on, made an outstanding, big-bodied, Schmeichel-esque one-on-one save with Bonaventura for his hat-trick, the Nigerian. And immediately Madrid went up the pitch, ball into Ramos, who look, it was almost a Pippo Inzaghi with Alex Ferguson. He looked born offside in that one. I just can't understand how VAR eventually gave it. VAR showed it being onside, but the naked eye said, no, I suppose that's why computers rule the world. But Ramos's header came directly in that flow of play, which led from Areola, saving one-on-one from Bonaventura for Madrid to go 3-0 down instead, 2-1, eventually 2-2. Mignolet, two fabulous saves. Look, Jared, if you're a Real Madrid fan, then... at the Bernabeu, although there were whistles at halftime, huge whistles, and Courtois whistled because they've lost faith in him, the fact is that the atmosphere was volcanic. It was an early kickoff. You expected there to be fewer fans there because Madrid fans don't like starting a game at that hour of the night, 7 p.m. And, the reaction in the second half was wonderful compared to a woeful first 45 minutes. So the cynics, the doubters, will be feeling more hawkish today. But for anybody who just went along to watch a great game of football, this was Champions League at its absolute finest.
Okay, I mean, there's no evidence that this is a hinge point for their season. There's going to be a turning point, that they somehow look at the rescue act that happened last night. But we've seen this happen for Real Madrid. We've seen it happen for Zidane in the past. Is there any sense that this might be a turning point?
Well, if you amalgamate it with the way they're playing domestically, they left their dignity in Paris, didn't they? Literally, they'd have to phone up to Lost Property at the Parc de France and say, hi, have you found our self-respect? From that point onwards, they then go and win 1-0 at Sevilla in one of their best performances for 8, 9, 10 months. They beat Osasuna. They then draw at the Metropolitano against Atleti. They were the better side, probably should have won. And second half against Brugge, they show maybe they didn't play Rolls-Royce football, but it was all guts and garters. They might have snuck a win. And therefore, I think if you put your point.
Lost him.
We've lost him. It was a great game, that Madrid-Bruges game. Actually, the early kickoffs, the Inter Milan-Slavia Prague game a couple of weeks ago, and the Madrid game this time, you have the away team from the smaller league, but they've actually sort of gone and really impressed. And both of them struggled to close it out from promising positions. But I really enjoyed that game yesterday as well. I sort of got to see most of that match. And it was just great to see Bruges, some team come with a real plan.
Yeah.
And not just going to come and be beaten before they walked onto the pitch.
Yeah.
You know? And
I mean,
it really, like, the group stages gets to sort of a bad time, but there's been some good stuff in it so far. Yeah, it's not the heavyweight clashes that are going to define the business end of the competition, but you've got like decent teams from around Europe and proper football in places that are competing head to head with the greats, or I mean, you can debate the status of the greats,
Madrid,
but
yeah.
Real Madrid or Inter Milan, it was a couple of weeks ago, I mean, diminished status, but they're just really good to watch, really sort of good for the competition. And yeah, there's still a few stories to come in these group stages yet.
I think Graham's point earlier about a team coming somewhere like the Bernabeu and trying to actually get it. Graham's got one last minute for us. Yeah, we were just talking there about how good the group stages have been. Let's move on from Real Madrid, because we'll get to talk about them for the rest of the season and if anything is imminent or otherwise. But something might be imminent at Spurs. I don't know. What did you make of it? I mean, I know you didn't get a chance to see it because you were obviously at the...
No, I did. I watched it afterwards because we had the early kick-off here, so I was able to tune in and, look, it's a long subject for a short answer. Prior to the result, people around the club had been talking to me about some of the players, how can I phrase this, choices that they're making in their lives away from the training ground, and that one player in particular was going down a path that bore no relationship to the way in which this disciplined, organised, intelligent group of players has played Poch football for, several seasons now. The phrase, to hear Pochettino afterwards talking about his players having given up, is desperate. I've long been an advocate that the brilliance of managing a football project that was succeeding at a time that they were laying out serious money for what is an outstanding training ground, and then pulling together even a delayed stadium project while not spending money on footballers, while having a very tight and well-controlled salary structure. It's been a mini miracle. And the fact that Pochettino was speaking out over the summer in my, in the sponsored stuff I do that's associated with my podcast, I made strong predictions in the summer that when you hear Pochettino speaking about lack of investment, when you understand that people who have put out in order to get to a golden future, and then they find that the golden future isn't an influx of necessary talent and youth, then you know that it just in life, not much, people get burned out. And I think we're seeing a group of people, perhaps including the manager, who've been thinking, if we get to that stage when the training ground is long done and the ground is open and we've done well domestically, then things will relax a little bit and there will be, the purse strings, will relax a little bit, and there will be an influx of talent and youth, and it hasn't happened. And I think the burnout is there. I think they've given so much over so long. Many people stretched. But having said that, you have to follow the evidence of your eyes. Irrespective of Spurs, by their own manager's dictum, having hauled up a white flag, it's rare you'll see finishing like we saw by Bayern Munich. And you have to put that into the equation. You can't make 7-2 at home into a one-sided story. Bayern surprised me. They've had the domestic travails. I think they only won 3-2. I'm sure it's Paderborn, but they only won 3-2 away in the Bundesliga. To turn that performance into a 7-2 win in London is enormous, and the lion's share of the story needs to be for Spurs. But having watched that game and the way in which they finished their chance, some more just half chances. I've rarely seen finishing like that, and that has to be part of the analysis.
Yeah, a fair point. Graham, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us.
Cheers, fellas.
So, Graham.